name is Zach, and today I will be talking to you about the sport of disc golf. With a course less than 2 miles away from the university campus, I feel that it's important for our students to know that it's there, to go play and get outside. I've been playing disc golf for many years, and I've competed in many tournaments, and I feel that I have done extensive research on the topic and will be able to provide you guys a lot of information about the sport. So disc golf is a cheap, fun, and convenient way to play with friends and family, and it'll get you outside. The first thing I'm going to talk about is how to play. Now, before I go over how to play the sport, I'd like to talk to you about the different holds. So first things first, you're going to have your backhand. That's just throwing backhand, simple as that. Next thing you got is your forehand, which will be one finger underneath, one on top, and just resting on your middle finger. And you're going to throw it just straight like that. And then lastly, I'm going to talk about a little bit more of a crazy way, but it's called the tomahawk. Or you can do it in the reverse form, that's a thumber. But the tomahawk, it's going to throw over, and the disc will actually go upside down and then fade out, which is a commonly used strategy when dealing with some thick brush and you're not in a good spot to throw the disc normally. So, how to play this sport. Disc golf is a pretty simple sport, honestly. It stems pretty much from the sport golf, so it's not too confusing if you know how to play golf. All you need to do is you take the disc. There's going to be a target, which is going to be a chain link basket down the way, wherever the hole is. And you're going to throw the disc at the hole, and the objective of the game is to throw it in as few strokes as possible, or throws as possible. So it's a competitive sport. But yeah, so that's how you play the game. It's pretty self-explanatory, pretty simple, not too confusing. So the next thing I want to talk about is the actual difference in discs. So I got a few of my discs here from home. The first one I want to talk about is a distance driver. So the first thing you'll notice with the distance driver is that the rim is going to be thicker. Now what this does is that it allows the disc to go farther. And before I dive too deep into the difference in all the discs, I'd like to talk about the 4 statistics. Now, on each disc, there's going to be 4 numbers labeled, and to a beginner, that's not going to make much sense, but let me explain it to you. It's quite simple. So the first number is going to be speed. Now, the speed is determined by how fast the disc is rotating, leading to how far it will go. With a distance driver, obviously the speed is going to be as high as you want because you're trying to go for max distance, you're trying to get it to the hole with as few strokes and as close as you can. The next number is going to be glide. Now you'd think, when I want just a really high glide all the time so it keeps going farther. But actually with distance drivers, you're going to have a lower glide because with the wind always up above the trees and such, it's really hard for these discs to stay stable, obviously, during flight. So with a distance driver, usually it's going to be lower glide, just because if you have that power and you're throwing it with a high speed, it'll match out with the glide, so you should be able to hit target pretty easily. The next thing is going to be turn. Now, when you think about a disc, and you think you're going to throw it and it's going to go straight, with actually these discs, they've developed them so that they can turn either left and then they'll come back right, or vice versa. Now, this is very situational use. You got to get out and throw the disc to know really how it flies, but it's going to help you a lot when, depending on how the course is laid out. The last number on these discs is going to be the fade. So the fade is when the disc is at the end of its flight, it's usually not just going to lay down. For the most part, it's either going to hook right at the end or it's going to hook left. Now, they do this because it's very, very difficult to actually get a disc to fly straight because you need to release the disc at a perfect level for it to keep going straight. So that is what the turn is for. Now, all these numbers go up and down, variant between what disc you have, which creates a vast difference in all discs. Like, no disc really throws the same, honestly. So first, we've talked about the distance driver. I'd like to now talk about the fairway driver. So as you can see, it's a little bit of a thinner rim. Now, the real main difference between these two discs is that the speed is lower, which means it's going to provide a lot more control, because when you're throwing a disc as hard as you can, it's obviously not going to always go exactly where you want it. But with these discs, it's a lot easier to control that with that thicker and thinner rim. It provides a more stable flight. The next thing I want to talk about is the mid-range. So the mid-range, sort of like the fairway driver, but even thinner rim. It's perfect for approach shots, so when you're coming close to it, but you're out of putting range, you're going to want to use a mid-range because it's the most stable of the discs. So it's going to be able to provide you that simple and easy, just toss up to the green, nothing too difficult there. And the last thing I want to talk about is the putters. So I have two different putters here. Obviously, as I've talked about, there's a huge difference in discs. So two putters, same exact statistics as the stats I like, but this one has a thumb grip on the top, which provides me more stability for longer throws. And then this one right here does not on the top, but it's heavier. So if I'm dealing with wind or variation, it's a lot easier to keep this disc going straight compared to this one. The last thing I want to talk about for one of my points is the culture behind disc golf. So not as many people know about the sport as I'd hope for, but hopefully you guys listening to this will help you guys get into it. But the culture behind it was all started back by Merle Whitvoet, who is a man back from the 60s who noticed some kids throwing little tin tops at a metal trash can and decided to just run with that idea. Later on, he started the PDGA, which is the Professional Disc Golf Association, in which he created a league to where amateurs, intermediates, professionals can compete for money, prizes, and all sorts of things. And since then, the sport has really blown up. There's actually a lot of YouTube channels that stream the sport, so if any of you guys are curious to watch it, maybe figure out, is this something for me, is this something I want to do? By all means, go give it a try. Just search it up on YouTube, you'll find it. To summarize what I've talked about really is, the sport is not that known of, but I feel that it should be more known because with such a cheap and easy way, like each of these discs this is $10. I mean, you can buy them at Walmart for cheaper. Those are nicer discs, but it's a cheap, easy way to get outside, and I think that all of you guys should take this knowledge that you've learned today about the sport, how to play it, the objective of the sport, and run with it. I think you guys will have really good fun with it. Like I said earlier, disc golf is a cheap, fun, and convenient sport to play with your friends and family, or alone, depending on how you want to play it. I hope you all give the sport a try, especially during these times of COVID and quarantine where we have a lot more free time to get outside, get active. Make sure to try your best and have fun. Thank you.